Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages,
Yes.
we're here. We're back for our final day after show of Fall Tour.
What a birthday gift is.
Yeah.
You don't have to do any more of these for a little while. As much fun as they are, they do get grueling after a while. As we've said, it's a long tour. You realize just how long it is right at the very end.
Yeah,
especially if you're on tour. How are you feeling right now? Before we move on to this particular show, describe the vibe coming off of tour. Are you terrified of civilian life, or
yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, but as you can tell by the way my voice sounds right now, I could use a couple days off. Unfortunately,
well, you sound a whole lot better than you did yesterday. You sounded awful yesterday, so you got that going for you.
Thank you. But I don't have a couple days off because I'm seeing Corey Wong with our good friend Daniel in Toronto tomorrow night. But
good friend
couple
Daniel.
Days off the tour.
Daniel from the pod, Daniel?
Yeah, his lovely girlfriend Christine is coming to Toronto to see Taylor Swift, and just so happens that Corey Wong is playing the same night in Toronto. So
I would have pegged D for T Swift over Corey Wong, but hey,
I think the difference in price is a big selling point.
That's
here.
important. Yep.
Corey Wong ticket is around $50. So anyway, we're here to talk about Goose, last night's show, fun birthday show. But yeah, and as you can see by my name,
no one cares.
I got Golden Goose, and no one cares. But we've got a great guest joining us today. We've got Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Doing good. How's it going?
Phenomenal. Thank you for bearing with us on all the time changes today. And thank you, everybody watching, for bearing with us on all the time changes today for the pod. Always almost there after dark. It's what we're here doing tonight. But it's actually only 6 o'clock, but it's dark because it's mid-November.
Yeah. There you go. Thanks for spelling that out.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, it's after 5 o'clock. So if you want to enjoy a beer as you watch the show, no one will stop you. You can do that. Only if you're on the East Coast or Central. Anything beyond that might be pushing it. But,
well, hey, don't.
I'm not judging.
Thursday,
I'm not judging.
People can.
It's Thursday. It is Thursday. What a glorious day. Weird time to end a tour. You would figure they would end on a weekend, but here we are, recapping on a Thursday, tour ender.
Here we go. Well, let's dive right in here. Chris, take me through your pre-show vibe yesterday. I know you were close up front to where I was last night. But yeah, take me through getting into the venue, how you were feeling going into the show.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, this was a hometown show, a 30-minute drive. So I ended up working half shift at work, then had to head out. Ended up parking. The wharf had a underground parking that you can go where the stairs right around where that glassed enclosed building where the bathrooms were. Ended up parking down there. Walked right up. Met our friend Marcus, who came all the way from Germany. He's a really cool dude.
The man.
He is the man, yeah. But he was showing me, some of the shows he went to. Grabbed some Shake Shack. Hung out in line for several hours, met a lot of cool people who I think we've been to similar shows before, but never quite connected. But yeah, had a really good time, ate some burgers, enjoyed the beautiful view on the wharf. Was still on some highs from night one for sure. I know we were talking about some songs we're thinking that may be on there. May have led to the Golden Goose in your case, but yeah, really, really good pre-show vibes for me.
Yes. Yeah. Same. I mean, as I was hanging out with some rail riders this week, I decided to ride the rail for my birthday last night, which was a lot of fun. I don't particularly enjoy the waiting in line for 7 hours part of it. So, that's the main reason why I won't make it a regular thing, but it was a lot of fun. So shout out to our whole crew also for just making it a really, really fun birthday.
Have they accepted you as one of their own, or is there still trepidation on the rail riders front? I know it's
there were a lot of people accusing me of being a vibes guy, which was a little bit of a problem because I'm not.
I did see some accusations out there from Lucas saying that you were texting from the rail, which is, I'm told that is a no.
I was posting the set list. I'm not going to stop doing that just because I'm on the rail.
Yeah.
I
did
love
you get any disapproving looks from Peter?
I didn't. I got some approving looks.
Good.
He got a lot of approving looks the whole night from multiple people, which I will probably add a bit later, which you'd like to hear, Neil.
Right on. Right on.
Well, let's dive into the show here. Without further ado, vibes are high for our 3-pack of openers right here. Pretty standard move. Atlas Dogs, Silver Rising, Turn Clouds. I feel like we've seen this trio before this year.
Like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah,
We should
I'm
ask Adam
actually
to
gonna
pull the
look.
data on that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna pull the data right now. No, just kidding. This is the first time that these 3 have been played in sequence like this, but I bet you this is not the first time that these 3 have been in a group early first set.
Oh yeah, no, that feels impossible. Well, maybe Turn Clouds makes it weird, but I mean, Atlas Dog, Silver Rising, that pair has come at least twice since the cap. Because every time they've done it, we've said, well, this is the time that they're going to play How It Ends, the dog tick, as you call it, Ryan, or the werewolf trilogy, whatever you want to do.
We thought it was coming, and I saw there were some accusations of cheating being thrown around already in the group chat because for shits, I put How It Ends as my 1-pointer last night.
Mark McGuire, baseball player, skinny guy for most of his career, hit some home runs, then shows up one year jacked, and then hits 70 home runs. And everybody's like, guy blatantly cheated. So take that and then put that over the arc of what you've done in Fantasy Goose. You've done okay, historically pretty terrible. And then this year you do really, really well. I think the only assumption is, like Mark McGuire, you're a fucking cheater. That's it.
Hey, I think you're just upset. I think you're just upset that you finished like 30 points behind me for the tour.
Maybe that's the case. But I just wanted to do a little sports story for you right there. I thought you would appreciate that.
Well, there you go. Chris, what are your thoughts on the first 3 songs here? Let's get back to the show. Atlas Dogs, Silver Rising, Turn Clouds.
No, I mean, it's classic Goose, classic 3-pack of openers here. A lot of people were thinking maybe we would get a Turbulence, which I would have been okay with. Honestly, I do think, and I think a common theme is this is Goose at its best the whole way this set list was written, at least in my opinion. I'm glad we got an Atlas. I wasn't thinking we would get one because I feel like recently we did get a Indie Groove Jam Atlas, but I'm glad they did the normal sped up version. That's my personal preference as Atlas Dogs goes. But Turn Clouds was the first time for me. That was awesome. Silver Rising, I think, is just a beautifully written song. And I noticed when they did Silver Rising, they wasted no time getting into it. As soon as Atlas Dogs was done, like in the next second, they were right into it. But yeah, I think awesome 3 songs to start off the night.
Yeah, not much to add. I think it was when they started Turn Clouds. I was like, okay, like, now you know that you're going to get the 3-pack of openers, and you know that after the 3rd song, like, some shit's going to happen. Like that's
the vibe, right?
Yeah.
That's the, I mean, Turn Clouds is the 3rd song in the set. Is actually pretty nice. It rarely comes that early, but, Turn Clouds is also, I don't know. Have I revealed this on the pod yet? I don't think I have. Turn Clouds is my bathroom song.
I think we've talked about, I think maybe we alluded to it at Forest Hills and various other occasions where Neil has it down to a science where Turn Clouds starts, he leaves the seat, and he walks back as they're hitting the last note. It's impressive.
Yeah,
to witness.
Nice.
Years in the making.
Anyway, so 3-pack opener out of the way. Then shit does in fact go down as we get a pretty large modern. I was looking forward to this. I've been saying all day that we were going to open up a pit during being modern, and then I was reminded that Mark Camito was standing right behind me and that he likes to throw elbows. And so I decided not to do the pit thing.
He's a big guy.
He is.
Although
we had a little bit of a
had a safety net there. The discussion yesterday was if Jordan were to jump into the crowd and land on you and Lucas, it would be certain death for 2 of you. And Jordan.
Well, we also had Amos next to us.
Oh yeah,
14-year-old child who also can't catch a grown man. So, it would have been good at least if Jordan decided to stage dive.
Yeah, you had Camito to back you up. He's a big guy. Yeah.
I mean, we had a few other people too, but anyway, big modern. This is so good. Sorry for my flu cough. Yeah, I mean, I just like this jam is amazing. Can I just say Guitar Jeb? You know, I say this like every show. I highlight the moments
This
where
is
you
the
can hear him.
segment.
No, but
Guitar
like
Jeb
he
segment.
was so loud last night. Like I don't think I've ever heard him be this loud or like this active in the improv. There's this moment just after the 10-minute mark where he's playing these like just like slower, spacier chords. And at the time, Rick is doing like some pretty busy shredding. And as Jeff keeps playing these, Rick slows things down. So I attribute the change in the jam to our good friend Jebry.
Jeb steering the ship.
You'd love to see it. I mean, and then you just, and then from there you just modulate nicely and build really patiently to just incredible peak. Cotter just killing it towards the end of this jam. And then Whip It, unfinished into Whip It. Audible, fun.
Well, so can we pause on that for a moment? And like, Chris, let me ask you this question because you were in the room. There was a little debate last night about what happened there. Do we think that they just kind of didn't want to find their way back from the space that they found in Big Modern at that point? And they were like, nah, let's just play another song. And then Whip It comes out because that was an audible right there, right? Or do we think that like it had been the plan all along to not finish Big Modern and then just throw something else after? What do you think? Like vibe in the room?
I think just based off of the vibe in the room, at that point in the set, they were having a lot of fun. I think the choice to go back into Big Modern was something they may have realized off the set break. That's just kind of what I was feeling. But I mean, as far as that Big Modern was concerned, the vibes were amazing. I was not directly at rail, but maybe like a row behind. I looked over to the left, and Ryan was riding the rail, headbanging the whole time with his crew. It was fun to watch. But the lighting as well, I thought was amazing. And after the peak, after that huge drop, I think I've heard you guys referred as the quote unquote heavy metal section before. But after that, stream of confetti fell down onto us. I thought that was pretty sick. And I definitely agree with Jeff on the guitar. That was a theme throughout the show, which is nice because I love 2-guitar Goose, and you could still get it, but also have the addition of Peter. And another thing I noticed for that jam, Peter used a lot of arpeggiators on this show, and there was moments where he would go put on the arpeggiator, then switch to the clav, and the sound was just huge. And having Jeff do those fill-ins, I think was really crispy. But yeah, I definitely, just to go back to your question, they were having a lot of fun, and we'll get in towards the end of Whip It. I think there's an issue with Cotter's either his kick drum or his in-ears. Towards the end of Whip It, I saw the techs were messing with it, and towards the end, Rick was asking if his kick drum was okay. So I think going into it, they were just having fun and they were ready to move on. But I'm glad it ended up the way it did in Encore.
Yeah, I think it was just an audible, Neil, to your point. I think when Goose wants to finish a song, nothing's going to stand in their way of finishing the song. Like Rick has brute forced into the ending, ascending progression of Big Modern before. Think of like Montana. So I think if they wanted to go back into it there, I think Rick just kind of had the idea in the moment because the written set list did not have, Whip
well, that was my point. Is that it was not
Big
on the
Modern
written set list. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was fun, and Whip It's fun.
I have said, like, there are people who hate Whip It. There are strong commentary on the internet last night about the choice of Whip It. I totally disagree. Devo rules. It is outside the box for Goose in general, and the more they kind of do that kind of stuff, I feel really good about it. I wish they kept going with this 23-minute amazing Big Modern jam, but you can't have it all. And then you get like 11 minutes later on in this show, which I think if you tacked on to this Big Modern, it makes it close to the biggest Big Modern there ever was, up against the very first Big Modern, which is interesting because I do think this is my favorite Big Modern ever.
Ooh,
I'm gonna go
I
out
don't
there
know.
and say it right now.
I don't know if I have this one above Cincy. I really like the Cincy one, but I don't know.
I know. I saw your
Close.
Jim the rankings.
Yeah, you saw how high I put the Cincy.
I saw how you put it. I don't know if I agree with that, but
It was a good.
I think we were giving you a hard time about that. But in any case, very, very good version. And then hard right turn into this whip it, which I think is a little awkward, but the vibe is right. Like that's a fun song. And let's be honest here. It's the last show tour. It's a vibe show. And any jams that you get, you're grateful for, right?
True.
Yep.
True. Yeah, so I Would Die for You, Salt, Give It Time to close out the first set. I mean, yeah, super excited to get I Would Die for You. And I guess, you kind of figure one of the covers was an audible at this point because they don't frequently play 2 covers in a row in a first set like this. But I Would Die for You crushed, as always. Salt crushed, just, hot version, still waiting for it to jam again like it did in Utah. But, always excited to see this. Still in the 100% club. And then I thought the set was going to be over after that. And Give It Time was just like an amazing bonus. Going to church. Goose is a Christian rock band. But yeah, Chris, what did you think of the last 3 songs here?
Yeah, I would die for you is definitely a treat. I've been chasing that one for a while. I think they haven't even played it on Fall Tour. I believe Mempho Fest was the last time they did it, so it's good to hear it on this run. Salt, I agree. Maybe having it jammed out a little bit more would have been nice, but I'm still glad we got Give It Time. I think you mentioned it on one of your St. Augustine podcasts. It's an extremely catchy song. So I'm glad I got to experience it live. But yeah, I think the set listing was pretty good. While again, I would have appreciated some parts of it to jam out slightly longer. But I'm glad as a result, we got a couple other songs that otherwise we likely would not have heard. So,
Neil, anything to add?
Vibes, man. I mean, the vibes to close out this set, incredible. Right?
Yeah.
I Would Die for You, Salt, and then Give It Time. I mean, I can't really. If I'm picking like a vibey way to end a set, I don't know if I can pick better than that. Really, like honestly, I don't think I could do better. Maybe throw a No California in there instead of I Would Die for You.
Ooh.
That one might be slightly vibier. But yeah, dude, that's a killer set. Like you, I would have liked to see more jam and salt, but I think the way it came out is the way it was intended, and that's the good stuff, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about set break here, Chris. How were you feeling? As things took a little break, what were you kind of expecting out of set 2?
Yeah. So my buddy Mike, who actually got me into Goose, he went up to the top levels because his wife was there. So had to spend some time with the wife. I didn't have much room to really sit because I am a 6'5" man. So I couldn't really do any crisscross. So I just continued to stand and they started to play some Motown. So I just decided I'm just going to keep dancing. So I just decided to dance the whole set. Also did a bit of water boy action. Was handing down, passing the water cups to everyone in the back, which was fun. Yeah, I just kind of hung out and didn't move. The previous night, I went and I grabbed some drinks, checked out the merch stand, went to the bathroom, which from my understanding, the bathroom situations, I don't know if it was the same that it was yesterday. Women, no one in line. Men,
Classic.
100 plus people
Classic.
in line, which I normally try to hold it, but I had a good time during break.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the Anthem and the staff for passing out cups of water. Basically, They started at set break, and you could flag a security guard for the whole rest of the show, and they would go and grab cups of water at any time during the second set, which is truly amazing. I don't think a lot of venues are doing it these days, but there aren't enough venues. Like, you could buy like cold cans of water, but like at the bar, you could ask them for a cup of water. When I walked into the venue, or when I was coming back from the bathroom before the show, there was a security guard standing next to a table just full of cups of water, encouraging people to grab. So especially because it was really hot and sweaty in there last night. Good on the Anthem for, making it easy for people to stay hydrated.
Well, yeah, if nothing else, if I'm a security guard in that venue, I'm saying to like my buddies, like, let's hand out waters because I don't feel like carrying 5 people out of the front row of the show tonight. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes sense. Everybody wins in this situation. You would think venues would do it more instead of trying to make money off of you. Like the MGM in Boston, when you ask for a water, they get the tiniest cup in the world and put water in it instead of buying a $6 can of water.
No, Mom, it was not reusable. Can't have it all. Yeah. The cocktail cups that they were serving in until I think they ran out of them, but they had reusable ones. Anyway, I was thinking, Thatch Drip Field Empress, because any sane person had all three of those plus Big Modern on their fantasy picks.
Yes.
And if you didn't have that for your highest point values, what were you doing?
I don't know. I had those all as my highest.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Yeah, I did. I just
no,
didn't
you've had
cheat,
some
so I didn't get the
mix-up.
the lower point ones.
I do
Chris.
have one more thing from Set Break though,
Yes.
that I think Neil would like to hear. I didn't see how many people, but I did see at least one person from the crew wearing one of Ryan's birthday shirts, and a lot of them were doing that on the side. I was since I was directly middle, I was peering off to the side stage. It looks like they were showing it to a lot of members, but I thought that was a pretty cool moment, and everyone just kept pointing out at Ryan, and I thought it was a cool way to celebrate the birthday.
Yeah.
Wait
funny.
a second.
Jordan put it on.
T-shirts?
You didn't see the shirts? Yeah.
I didn't see the shirt.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of people wearing
A
shirts.
few of my friends made shirts with my face on it for my birthday.
Who's responsible? Well, you can tell me after the pod. I will reach out to these people. Yeah. I need
want
one.
A shirt,
Well, I wanted to face it, but yes, I do want
one. Shout out to Mary Beth and Lucas, who organized that. Anyway, set 2 kicks off. Yeti, pumped up kicks, shamalama ding dong, Yeti. Not my favorite way to open up a second set. I will say, you want to close the first set with this segment? Sure. But when this takes up the first 25 to 30 minutes of, your second set on the last night of tour, especially when you're audibling both pumped up kicks and shama, for me, I was like, when they went into pumped up kicks and I was like, okay, here we're getting this again. Then they went into shama and I was like, oh, okay. And it was funny. Lucas and a couple of people were like, come on, it's your birthday. Come back on the rail. And I was second row during this. And I was like, no, I'm waiting for a better song.
Did it occur to you that this might be the troll of Ryan Storm? I mean, there's no more outspoken critic of these songs than you. Well, and Jive Goose, of course. But
well, I don't know. I didn't think about that. I think if they wanted to troll me, they would have played American Woman in the second set.
I did my best. I should have put that request out there sooner, but it is what it is. We'll save that for some other time.
All right. Chris, what did you think of this opening Yeti sandwich?
Yeah. I also normally like it more of a set one closer. But I mean, it was still fun. Energy was still pretty high. At this point, I almost expect it to go into pumped up kicks. I remember before it was more of a rarity, but I mean, it still hit. The shama was very unexpected. I would think I've never seen it come off of a Yeti sandwich like that before, which the show had a lot of sandwiches. Goose was feeding us a lot of sandwiches these 2 nights. But yeah, I think it was okay. But I mean, not my favorite song, but I still enjoyed it. The vibes were still good. So
yeah, Peter was having a ball during Yeti. As we've said all year, Yeti's a banger.
Well, I mean, how can you not love Get Lucky, right? And which is basically what Yeti is now. So you have actually 3 covers in there. You have Yeti, and then Yeti Jam, which is basically Get Lucky, and then
or any Parcels song.
This is also true.
I'm surprised that Peter hasn't teased Parcels in there yet, because he's a big Parcels fan, we know. So yeah, I'm surprised that we haven't seen that happen. But anyway,
today I learned that every time Peter picks up the guitar, he's playing Parcels. And
no, okay, just
pretty close.
Just to clarify, it sounds like Get Lucky. It is not Get Lucky.
Depends on where you sit on that, but yeah.
Neil, don't go.
But
don't
vibes. Hey, this is good stuff. If you're at the show, you're having fun, and I think many people who go to Goose shows find these 3 together to be fun and exciting, and there's a couple people that don't, and that's okay.
There we go.
And it is
there we go. And then next up, of course, we all knew it was coming, and I immediately went back up to the rail when it started. We got Thatch. This is a very good Thatch. Pretty just heavy raging Thatch for the first big chunk, and then you get a nice little Westville Rockdale segment for a minute, before they bring
Just
it
a
home.
minute.
But
Smidge.
a taste, if you will,
Yeah.
as a treat. But yeah, just strong jamming. Again, it's the last night of tour. Just having an amazing, amazing time and crushing it. Chris, what did you think of this Thatch?
Yeah, I mean, the second I heard the guitar pick scraping and the wah pedal on, I knew it was game time. But I also, one thing I noticed, and I went back and I had to listen to it again just to make sure. Peter was doing some clav work on the intro, which I don't think normally happens, but I think it added a lot to it. And I kept looking back at Cotter. Well, mainly I was trying to see if he still had the Zen necklace on. But he was absolutely ripping. And like I've always noticed, or I've always known that he's really played, like he's banged the kits when he plays. But yeah, he absolutely tore it up. But overall, I agree. This was an amazing jam. Lucky I got a Thatch, and I think perfect placement. Kind of like you said, I think we were expecting this, but this is what we came to see. This is, end of the tour, Goose at their best. Yeah, phenomenal vibes.
Amazing.
As
Yeah.
Neil would say.
Neil?
Yeah, I do like the ramp up. Like, I think everybody thought for sure Thatch would be the set 2 opener. And then when Yeti started, it was like, oh no. I don't like the way this is going to go. And then there was Pumped Up Kicks, and I was like, of course. And then there was Shaman. I was like, oh no, like, oh dear, this is going horribly wrong. And then the Thatch comes, and then you're super stoked. Like Chris, like the moment you hear kind of the pick slide a little bit, you're like, yes, all right. So we transitioned from the dance party into like the dance party jam, which is what Thatch is, right? Like it combines all the elements of the songs that get people jumping out of their seat and dancing with like pretty deep jams. In this case, this was kind of more a straightforward version, but just like a rocker that'll make you dance. But like you said, little taste of the Westville Rockdale at the end to build a little tension before the gigantic peak to finish it off. But like pretty neat tension release there at the end. But yeah, just a standard amazing Thatch, which we should all be grateful for anytime we get one.
Agreed.
Yeah,
and then finally, it's back after so long on the bench. 34 shows without being played. And like we've had some long gaps on 726 before. This is the longest they've ever gone without playing it since it was debuted. Hi, Goose. Please don't ever do that again. But
why?
Yeah, but so happy to get your classic 726 drip pairing just for those at home keeping track. That is
It's for the last 5.
9th time that those songs have been paired together to close out a second set or encore.
Yep.
But hell yeah, just absolutely ripping drip field as well. Nothing crazy. As they wanted to leave enough time for this encore that we'll get to shortly. But yeah, classic pairing, really, really awesome. Chris?
Yeah, 726 is such a beautiful song. I was lucky enough to catch it at CMAC when they did it. I believe it was paired with Fish in the Sea when they did that, which is another awesome song. But I think it was a really good change up, slow down the pace after Thatch. And what's good is it wasn't like, with slower songs, sometimes people can tend to, not dance or maybe talk but none of that was going on. People were still grooving to the music. It's lyrics are beautiful. I think it's one of Goose's best slower pace songs other than Silver Rising. So super glad we got it. A lot of people around me were happy as well too. There's a lot of talk before the show. Definitely Thatch and 726 and Big Modern were the ones people were hoping for. So I'm glad we got it. Oh, and the drip field was awesome too.
Yes,
of course.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to sit this band down and say like, This Old Sea, 726, Arise, and now Dim Lights. These are some of your best songs. Like these should not stay on the bench for as long as they do. And I'm scared that 726 is going to Arise territory where you get it like twice a year and like you're stoked when it happens, but like, man, these songs are so good. They deserve to be played. I just don't understand the desire. Like, I mean, I get it. Like the scarcity makes them better, right? Like Factory Fiction was so much better when they didn't play like every 12th show or 13th or show, like they did this year. And I mean, well, you've heard me say, yeah, I should call that meeting. They'll listen. They'll respond to my messages.
Totally.
This year, Elmeg is like a perfect example of a song that benefited from scarcity that now I believe has been played too much and like kind of has taken some of the air out of its tires. But still, I'm providing counterpoint to my own argument here. But I do believe that 726 could be played, every 8th show, and everybody would be fine. Nobody's going to roll their eyes and say, "Oh, another 726." It's just they should play more often. But the 726 drip is maybe the perfect pairing to close out the show. I don't know. It's close.
Yeah. I don't think there's ever a bad 726 strip to close out a second set, just because they're two amazing songs and they fit so well together.
Right.
You know,
Weird
like
too, because they were written at different times completely, but I guess they were like a year apart in terms of.
And they were on the same album.
Yeah, true.
Not in, they weren't obviously in succession on the album, but I think, there are certain things that just find a home together in set lists. And I feel like that, it's usually something like a Creature's Shamma or a Yeti Pumped Up Kicks, where it's like, same dance beat and they can just easily slip into it. And this is just one that's like, ballad, banger. And they just realized like, oh yeah, like this works really, really well. That's why they keep doing it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And let's talk about this encore. Now, Neil, correct me if I'm forgetting something significant, but is this the best encore that Goose has ever played?
I'm glad you said it before I did, because that's exactly what I was going to say. This is the best encore Goose has ever played. What do you want in an encore, right? You want a banger. You want a jam.
And you get 2 bangers.
And you get 2 bangers. And like a Segway sandwich. I mean, it's all the things. It's a Creature's Shamma. It's
no, it's not.
Thatch. I'm saying you take all the best elements of those things.
Sure.
And then you extract that, and then you throw that into a pot, mix it up. This is what comes out the other end. A Empress Big Modern sandwich.
So I saw
with like 11 and a half minutes of
is this the Empress of Modern or Big Organos?
Neither.
Or Big Empress.
No, I don't like any of
those. Anyway, basically, they started Empress. I was like, great. At this point, I figured like, oh, we're gonna, Big Modern's not getting finished. That's unfortunate, but whatever. And you go through the Peter solo. Jeff's playing the fish. Matt and I had a good moment where we were like,
he kept staring at you during that too. I kept looking because
it's a good bit.
I like to people watch kind of what everyone's doing in the band, and I look and I'm like, all right, this is a good jam. I'm like, okay, Jeff's stroking the fish, and then I looked over and I just look at Ryan, and Ryan's just looking at him and pointing, and I'm like, they're having a good moment together. I think it's called a gyro. It's like a ribbed fish, but I thought that was really funny.
It was. We love Jeffrey. But anyway, so we get through the Peter solo and the Rick solo, and then they hit the minor key for when they drop into the jam, and instead of the usual like just the G minor or whatever they hit to jam out Empress, Rick hits a different chord, and I was immediately like, they're doing it, it's happening, and I was surprised that you or no one else got upset at me for how quickly I tweeted Big Modern in the setlist thread.
I was not paying attention to that point.
Good.
Like I was vibing this encore,
but it was great. Like, so not everybody realized it was Big Modern right away, and you could tell like more and more people were realizing, and then when then they went back into the and like people went nuts, and then the last pop into the chorus was so good, and then they decided to jam the shit out of it for 10 more minutes after that, which was so like. Is this my favorite improv of the night?
Perfect.
Maybe.
I really do like the first go around to Big Modern, but I do kind of agree with you here. This encore is, that is a delicious encore. That's like the only way to describe it. It's just so good.
Yeah. What, Chris?
I couldn't have scripted it better.
The Big Empress.
Yeah. It's weird. I keep having back and forth thoughts where that ending that had like the jammed part of the Big Modern, if that would have been slotted in with the Big Modern, that would have probably been my favorite whole Big Modern, but then the encore wouldn't have hit as much. But I think in terms of, again, how they listed this, I think was awesome. And it was a good switch up from last night with that beautiful Peggio we got. I think to have something that, you get a sandwich, you get a very long jam. And again, I think this is Goose at their best. I think they're getting ready for Madison Square Garden. This was the way they decided to bang it out. Vibes were high. Confetti was popping. Birthday shirts were on. But yeah, it was a good night. I had a lot of fun. Had a 30-minute drive home. Got to chill in bed with my weighted blanket. But yeah, it was an awesome way to end the show. Couldn't have asked for a better way to close the whole tour.
Yeah, I want to call out Peter's organ work early on in the the second big modern here. Reminded me of a little bit what he was doing in the Nashville Mist from last month. Just really unique kind of sound on there that he doesn't use a ton. But my mom approves of the weighted blanket. But yeah, and then just really different kind of really shreddy peak. I felt like, which is cool. It wasn't just your average thing, and then they pop back into Empress, which was amazing. But yeah, I wasn't sure if they were going to go back to Empress. When Big Modern came in, I was like, oh, are they just going to finish the show on Big Modern? And they were like, nope, we're not going.
Well, you got to do the peak. You got to do that last like drop in kind of, I don't know if peak is the right word, but you know what I'm talking about. The way Empress ends. You can't give up that opportunity in the encore, right?
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. Well, anything else to add? Anybody before we? I mean, Peter came on stage before the encore. He was like, our next gig's at Madison Square Garden, and there was a guy who worked for the anthem, who like thought it was bullshit. Like I went to say
is
bye
your regular poster on Fish Twitter.
No, I know exactly. I went to say bye and thank you to Loomis after the show, and I was like, see you at the Garden, and he was like, yeah, and security guys like standing over there. He goes, what? No, they're not. And I was like, no, they're literally playing Madison Square Garden next weekend. And the guy goes, that's ridiculous. Who's their management? That's weird booking. I was like, okay, like
maybe you thought they were headlining.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the fact that they're playing with the Dave Matthews Band.
Well, they also could be headlining it next week, just for the record. I think if this was a headlining gig, it would fill.
I think it's happening at some point. I don't know if it would fill. I don't know. That's a debate for another time.
Well, it's so just for the record,
have enough people to like not lose money on the deal. Yeah.
The reduced capacity MSG, which is what a lot of artists actually play. I didn't realize like big pop stars like Sabrina Carpenter or like the Charlie XCX or these people don't play the full Garden. I figured that they were big enough to do that, but they they played the 14,000 capacity version, which is what Goose will play, and that's only 1,000 more than Forest Hills, which they sold out. So
someday. I mean, it's not a question of if, but when. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, that brings us to the close of our fall tour. Thank you, Chris, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. Great to see you this week. And thank you, everybody, each and every person who has tuned in or listened to our day after shows. We love doing this. Excited to have a little bit of a break. We will be back on Monday, November 25th to talk about Soulshine and whatever may happen there as Goose plays Madison Square Garden. Also, I would be remiss if I did not let everyone know that if you are the kind of person that does not want to be on Twitter anymore, we are on Blue Sky. There's an amazing Goose community. The band, as of about an hour ago, now has a Goose Blue Sky account, Goose-Band. Peter's on there as well. So, things are happening over on Blue Sky. We have live set list threads happening on Blue Sky as well. Multiple people because of Mastodon mirroring. But we're over there. Lots of people are getting on Blue Sky, and community's happening, people. So if you're the kind of person that wants to be engaged online with Goose, doesn't want to be on Twitter, that is the place to be. Tag me when you get on there if you're a Goose person and you want to be involved in the Goose community. I have pinned to my profile a Goose starter pack, which is a feature that Blue Sky has. It's basically just a list of people who you can follow. I can add more people to it any time. So if you want to be part of that, please tag me. I know I have a backlog of people. to catch up on. But these are the people you want to follow if you want to be engaged with Goose. And, excited to see what's going on over there. Anyway, that's
amazing.
That's the thing.
So
anyway,
this is it. The hasty train, last stop until
the last stop,
Madison Square Garden.
Yes. Who knows if the hasty train will be at Madison Square Garden, or if we'll next see the hasty train. At
There will be a hasty train after Madison Square
Oh,
Garden.
you think?
Don't worry, Ryan. I've known you long enough. Yes.
Well, if we can get Dave, Rick, and Trey on the stage at the same time,
and Derek, and Warren, and Jeb,
that's true.
Yeah.
Doing those bliss.
A lot of guitar. There's a lot of guitar that can happen there. Anyway,
Sure they need a guy to lay down the C.
Anyway, and C chord, baby. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning into today's Day After Show. We'll see you on November 25th, and around that same time, we are going to have a tour recap coming your way. It's definitely going to be very long, and the hasty train will be making an appearance. I guess it's not that hasty.
Oh, no.
The hype train.
Oh, we'll see. Tune in to find out.
Tune in to find out. It's going to be a very long
train.
episode. Yeah, the vibe train will not be making an appearance on that episode.
We do have Kevin, so you never know.
That's true. Anyway, we're rambling now. Thanks for an amazing tour, everybody. Thank you to Goose for such an incredible few weeks, and we'll see everybody very, very soon. Enjoy your weekends.